All right.
So we thought we would start just by just giving you a brief overview of how this is going to work. Can you mute everybody while I'm talking?
Yeah, so I'm gonna mute you guys all so that for the quality of the recording.
And then we'll open it up and y'all can talk.
Mute all. Here you go.
Yeah. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Just put a thumbs up if you can hear.
Yeah, they can hear.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm Roger, and this is Albina.
Hi.
And we're in Taos, New Mexico right now. And for those of you, I think everybody here is familiar with us on some level, but if you're not, in case you're watching this later, we're yoga teachers, yoga students and teachers, and former yoga studio owners from Houston, Texas. And we now split our time between Austin, Texas and Taos, New Mexico, where we have a retreat center. And we're currently at our retreat center, and we have been, like a lot of you, we have been sheltering in place, I think was the term. It's changing, right? But it was sheltering in place for a while. And during this time, our hotel is closed when it would normally be open and potentially booming right now. So we had some time to think about how we wanted to be with our community in this process. Because normally we'd be offering retreats and things that are coming up now, and those are iffy at the moment. And we have been leading yoga teacher training since 2008. So between us, that's like 24 years of leading teacher trainings. And if you're familiar with Yoga One, we had 7 studios and about 150 teachers. And I would say 90 to 95% of those we trained ourselves. So they started with us. So if you had teachers there that you loved, they at least did their training with us initially. And a lot of them did their advanced training with us as well. And they may have other trainings. So we have been doing this for a long time. And there was an opportunity that was presented in this moment through the Yoga Alliance. Normally all of our trainings are done in person. And the Yoga Alliance recognized that a lot of teacher trainings that might have been scheduled for this period while we're all home weren't going to be able to take place in person. So they relaxed their requirements and allowed this to be delivered online. Yes, please.
So, I mean, in addition to that, what I want to say is, Roger and I have been reflecting on how can we be of service? How can we support people? And one of the best things that we do, one of the things that we do really well is teach people the tools, right? So this yoga teacher training, it's not only about the asana, it's not only about moving your body and putting your hand here and there. I think I would say our signature is that personal growth element in teaching everybody who comes into our teacher trainings with these valuable tools of growing and stepping into their power and creating the life of their dreams. And like I would say personal growth and development and stepping into the fullness of your power is our signature of all of the trainings that we lead.
Yeah. So she jumped ahead of me a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Which is fine. I was just giving you some background as to why an online yoga teacher training. And really, as you can see, like more and more things are going online. And we love the in-person teacher training, which is an amazing thing. And a lot of times people can't commit their time, right, and their money to do yoga teacher training in person because it requires you to take time off work, or maybe you need to arrange childcare, and that's challenging, or whatever you might have going on. Our kids just busted in, of course. So even though we can't, in the moment, we can't offer it online, what that does is give us the benefit of taking out that issue around carving out the time, because right now we recognize a lot of people have a lot more time on their hands than they might otherwise. And then the other piece is that, normally these trainings sort of universally across the board are around $2,500 to $4,000 for a 200-hour training. in recognition of the fact that it's literally 200 hours that we're spending together. And so we also wanted to be able for people to do this economically. Maybe that's been a burden for people or a hurdle for people to get over. So we're offering it much cheaper now, and that information is all online. So in this moment, we were like, this is something that we can do together, so that at the end of this, at the end of whatever period that we're going to be in our homes and for the benefit of others and the people that we love, we can actually do something really powerful for ourselves. You know, something other than what I found myself doing was like scrolling the internet and looking how the news seemed to be getting worse every day. That's actually kind of sitting back and saying like, this is all happening to me, right? And one of the shifts that we want to create is, well, what can I create from this moment? And what we decided we could do together is do a yoga teacher training, because we know that a lot of people want to do it, and maybe a lot of people have had good reasons not to. So we're trying to eliminate that. And then as far as the process, she started talking about what is it that we offer in this teacher training. There are certain things that we offer, and all teacher trainings that are Yoga Alliance approved have a certain amount of things that are typically covered, right? It's like yoga philosophy. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of asana, the physical practice. We'll talk about the 8 limbs of yoga meditation. We'll be doing that every day. And so anatomy is a piece of that, you know. So there are certain requisites in order to have a Yoga Alliance approved 200-hour training. And there's some pieces that we bring that are unique in the way that we do it. We see, and if you know much about our studios, you know, I always felt like what we were really up to was the evolution of humans. Like, we were really there creating a community, a container, a space for you to go and evolve and grow and become more in tune to yourself, mind, body, and spirit. And the vehicle that we used for that was yoga. So really, I didn't necessarily think I'm creating a yoga studio. I'm creating a space where we create community, where we're creating the word in Sanskrit is sangha, a tribe, a community where we're all here for our personal growth and betterment. So a big piece that Albina was talking about of our teacher training is that we work on personal growth. We had got, you know, we've been doing all these trainings for years and years. And so we're taking all the best tools, the stuff that worked for us, the stuff that opened us up, the stuff that made us better humans, that made us better in our relationship with ourselves, with others in our community. The thing that transformed us, the things that transformed us as leaders and enabled us to do the things that we've done in our lives, those tools are what we're going to share with you. In addition to all the sort of typical yoga stuff, is that we're going to give you all the tools that personally worked for us. The things that didn't work for us, we kind of left those by the wayside, right? Not everything that we've ever learned was something that was super powerful, but the things that were super powerful, we want to share with you. Does that make sense? Nod your head yes if it makes sense. Do you have anything you want to add now?
Yeah, what I also want to add is, you know, we will be adding an element of business of yoga. And that is not only like, you know, the actual business, like running a yoga studio, but also a business of yoga, you as a yoga teacher, if this is something that you decide to do, how to bring your offerings online, how to market and do all those things. Because, I mean, this is our background. We did that really, really well over the last decade or so. And another element that I'm really excited about is that what I call manifest magic. So everything that we've ever experienced or created in our lives comes from that vision and goals work. Anything from starting our very first one-room small yoga studio to growing it to an amazing community with 7 locations, this beautiful retreat center, traveling around the world. I mean, you name it, all of it came as a result of this, I call it manifest magic work. And it's not only, of course, it's energy, right? The energy that you're vibrating in, but it's also a lot of it is internal hygiene, internal work. right? And that's where the yoga philosophy comes into play. And that's how, whether or not you believe it or not, but by moving your body, by moving your physical body, something happens on your soul level, something happens internally that you really step into a different kind of vibration. So I mean, I want to spend some time dedicating to that, because like that really is something that really, really excites me.
Yeah, and I would just add that, thank you for that, Ramisa, in the chats over there.
Mm-hmm.
The process is this, and this is the way the process happened for us, but I think this is how the process happens for everyone. But it happens differently and at different times and in different ways. But this process of yoga is a process of awakening, a process of transformation, a process of growth. And when you receive that, the only way really to keep it is to share it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what the path of a yoga teacher is. You learn something that changes your life. It's sort of your obligation, it's your duty, right? To go and share it with other people so that the people in your life, whether they be strangers that might come into your class and they start as strangers, or the people really close to you, right? You get to share these tools with them. And through sharing these tools, you get to keep them and practice them and remember them and keep them. That's the way you keep it going. Because if you take these tools and you go to the mountaintop and hide away, what happens is you tend to lose that connection to it. You fall out of practice, you fall out of it. And so the way to keep it is to share it. And that's really a big intention that we have, is to share these tools so that we keep them going, they keep them alive. And you'll see it's something that, when people come out of the teacher training at the end, you're just lit up and electrified, and you just want to share it with everybody. Maybe even annoyingly so, right, to people. But what I have noticed is that that the people in the lives of our trainees, not only do the trainees transform, but it affects positively their relationship with their kids, at work, at home, and in their romantic relationships, with all relationships, because yoga is principally about relationships. First, you to yourself, right? And you to something bigger than yourself, and then you to others. And that's sort of on the big picture. Do you have anything you want to add before we let them ask questions?
Well, if I may just read out loud what Rumisa wrote, not to like brag, but to celebrate. Rumisa said, I've done one-on-one coaching with Albina for personal transformation. So powerful. It kickstarted a journey that truly has transformed my life and those immediately around me. Thank you so much, Rumisa. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I would say before we open it up is that just on a very fundamental level, you will learn how to effectively teach yoga in a powerful way and to begin to share that out. And I kind of take that for granted most of the time and talk about all this other stuff. But maybe that's an important thing, is like, oh, I actually really want to learn how to teach yoga. And we do a lot of practice. We do a lot of feedback and loving feedback so that you get better throughout the process. One of the biggest fears on the planet is speaking in public. And, that's what a yoga teacher does. You get out in front of people and you talk them speaking like into their bodies, into their minds, and, to get them to move through a process, through a practice. So we'll get to do that together. And Zoom, we're learning more and more, has so many tools to be able to offer almost, not quite the same, but almost the same. As you can see, we can be here together, the same kind of learning environment. The one part that we're going to be missing perhaps is putting our hands on you, but we're going to encourage you to do that with the people in your life that are maybe home with you, or you can kind of be reviewing the stuff online if you're there somewhere by yourself, right? But if there are people who are willing to be your guinea pigs, we would totally want you to do that, like in your homework and stuff like that, so you can practice these tools that we're going to show you.
Oh, I do. That reminds me of, so over the years of leading yoga teacher trainings in our Yoga One over a decade, we've been recording content. So thank God we have, because now we get to really use that content. So things like hands-on assists or like posture clinics and breaking down every single pose and anatomy, all of that is the content that I said, you know, you'll need to be able to access that on our platform called Mat to Mat. And that is $15 a month. You can just do it for 1 month subscription only, knock out all that homework, or you can go over it for a couple of months and like rewind and play it over and over again. So a lot of that content, we'll be leaning on that content that we recorded over the years.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great time for us to open it up for questions, and you guys can unmute yourself. So as you're asking your question, you can unmute yourself.
But do you have to first unmute all?
No, you don't. They can unmute themselves.
Let's see.
I have a question. It's Kim Jamie. This is more like a nuts and bolts question, but I saw that it's like the weekend, all the way up until the end of May. Just because I like don't know what a typical yoga teacher training, not only like an online yoga teacher training, how would like a typical day look like?
Yeah, great question. You want to answer that? You want me to answer it?
Go ahead.
So a typical day is like a full work day kind of a thing. You know, the 200 hours is a real 200 hours. So that means we're going to spend a lot of time. You're going to get to see the faces of the trainees and us a lot of personal time on our laptops, on whatever devices you're doing. Laptop is a really good one, but if you don't have one, you can do it on your computer or your phone. Because my kids are doing their homeschool through Zoom on an iPad, that works too. But you have more features on a laptop. We'll start about 8 a.m. And generally a day will start with, you know, we're sleepy, right? So you come in and you find your spot that you've carved out in your house, and we'll probably start with a little discussion and meditation. Start the morning with meditation. Meditation tends to work best in the mornings when your mind is still clear, hasn't gotten too busy yet. And then usually there's some journaling, and then we talk about that process. Then we have some, we'll share some, whatever the work is for that day, right? We'll talk about that up until about the time that we do the yoga class, which will be probably like 10 or 10:30 to 11 or 11:30. We'll figure that out. But we'll have the same time every day, a lunch break for 1 hour. So let's say 8 to 11 or 11:30, then we'll have a lunch break. Then we come back and we'll go from 12 or 12:30 to about 6. So it's a full day. And we're not going to be doing the same thing all day. You're not going to be doing yoga all day long, because that would kill you. Most of you. Some of you would probably love that. But that would kill some people. We're not trying to do that. We're going to do 1 to 2 yoga classes a day. We're going to do some talking. So we'll be sitting in a chair or sitting on a pillow or sitting on the floor. Whatever's more comfortable for you is fine. Then we'll do some practice teaching, right? We'll do some sharing. What other kind of stuff do we do?
Well, we'll have to. I mean, this is going to be experimental too. You know, this is the first time we're doing it online for the first time ever. And I think kind of like all the yoga teacher trainings around the world are in the same boat right now. So what I commit to is making it a lot of fun, you know, and we always say this is going to be our best teacher training ever. We say that every single time, and over the years we've led so many teacher trainings, and guess what? Every single time it happens to be true. Because like every time we do it, it's even better and better and better. Like we're honing our skills, and it's just like so much magic in the process.
Yeah, and so Kim, Jamie, to compare that to other teacher trainings, that's very typical. They're either immersion based, meaning you go like 15, 21 days in a row, something like that. Ours was 27 days in a row. Right, but I saw, wow, yeah. And you know, because you have to do the real 200 hours, or in order for people who maybe have other commitments during the week, there's often, you know, an 8-week teacher training. So this one's, I think right now It's going to be 7 weekends plus some homework that you'll do on your own, both with watching the videos and maybe a little, and some reading. So we'll give you like a reading list, not a very long one, but some stuff that you can read, yoga texts.
Yeah, so we'll have to be creative. There probably a part of it will be you teaching a class. You know, you can teach a class to your kitty or to your friend, you know, and then you send that video to us and we'll schedule some one-on-one time to give you feedback and things like that. So we'll have to be creative. So a lot of times we've done this in real time, kind of in a group setting. And this time around, we'll have to, you know, be creative and do things that we've never done before and experiment with that. Maybe even that will be even better feedback because it'll be like individual, right? Instead of like teaching for 5 minutes in front of 50 people and getting your feedback in front of 50 people.
Yeah. And we just realized that Zoom has the ability to do breakouts. So, which is revolutionary because like we could put 2 of you together and y'all will be teaching to each other and no one else will see it but you two.
That's right.
And then y'all will be, and then you can switch and do those kind of things, just like we would do, because we do a lot of that, like where you teach to your friend so you can get repetition, and you can still do that in this environment. So there's a lot of things that we can do with this technology. And the good news is that even though we haven't led this specific training online, Albina's been doing a lot of stuff online for the last year and a half, a lot of stuff through Zoom. So we do feel pretty comfortable doing it in front of a computer, and we don't know what we don't know yet, right? We just don't know what may come up. You know, it could be internet connection problems for you or us, or
speak blessing into our future.
And we'll work our ways through that. Just like in any training, we have a thing that we're going to put together, and then we have the people that show up. And so depending on who shows up and how you show up is how the training goes, right? Because we might need to address something completely unique to this group or to one person or whatever. And so that's what makes it exciting. And there's really no time. You will not get bored ever. It's not like those kind of trainings, because it's going to be super engaging and you're going to be super into it. And it's and instead of like an esoteric training, and this is really about you and your progress. And, you know, that's everybody's favorite subject, right?
Hey, I come from the former Soviet Union. I'm a very practical person. You know, I need to see the actual processes, the actual tools that help me improve my life right now.
Yeah.
So like, anyway. Okay. So everything that we teach is very applicable to your everyday life, and it's intended to help you step into the best version of your life.
So check in. Kim, Jamie, did we answer your question?
Yes, you did. And I actually, as y'all's former like student at Yoga One, I think this could be so much fun. And I also thought this would be a great way to also, like, if people are interested in teaching yoga digitally, right? Like in the world, if it's like, oh, well, this is kind of perfect too.
Yeah. I mean, as an additional bonus, I'll share with you all the courses that I've created about automation, setting it up online and things like that. So I'll totally share with you all of that.
It's actually really, really like prescient and like momentary, because the whole world is suddenly figuring out how to do yoga and teach yoga online, even if they never intended to, right? It's like, if you teach yoga and you want to teach right now, that's about your only choice. So there's been this huge pivot, and you're going to be right on the forefront of that, really, because you know, I mean, people have been teaching online, but a small portion of all of the yoga has been online. Now, if there's any yoga, it's all online at the moment anyway. Who knows what happens after this, but I think you're going to see more and more people have gotten comfortable with teaching and doing it online. So could be whole other audiences and ways of offering this up. What's the next question?
Okay.
Is there any required reading or requirements that we need to meet prior to starting the class?
So there aren't any requirements prior to start of the training. We will share with you the suggested reading list, and you're welcome to start reading it now. So the way Yoga Alliance guidelines are, so that they're very specific, right? So there's a certain number of hours that has to be contact hours with lead teachers, which would be us. Hence, you know, the 7 weekends, it has to be a certain number of hours. And also there is a certain number of hours that needs to be dedicated to yoga philosophy, to yoga anatomy, to like things like that, you know. So reading, you know, even though it's not excessive, I think we're gonna condense our previous required reading list to make it shorter, but you'll definitely need to read a certain books and then write a book report on that.
Yeah, and there's not going to be as much of that. And I guess I would add that we're going to teach you everything that we think you need to know for this training, and this other stuff will help you understand sort of the bigger picture of what we're talking about. Once you read that stuff, like the Yoga Sutras is one, and that's free online. And if you've read the commentary on the Yoga Sutras, then when we say stuff, they're like, oh, that reminds me, this is why they're saying that. Or later, when you're reading the Yoga Sutras, like, oh yeah, we talked about this in teacher training. This is how I understand that. And so it's meant to be complementary to the training and not critical piece of the training. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it also fulfills certain number of like the study that you do on your own.
Yeah, which is not that much, just some. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Keith.
Okay, Keith, go ahead.
So this is the first time you're going to try to do this classes online, correct? This is your first attempt?
First time to do this full 200-hour training online. That's right.
Yeah. So in the past, we've recorded a lot of content and put it on Mat to Mat. So, you know, once you go and get your membership there, you'll see there is a ton of stuff there. So, we haven't been able to offer the training online 100% because Yoga Alliance always required it to be in person. So temporarily, due to coronavirus, the Yoga Alliance said through the end of June, for a limited time only, we can have yoga teacher trainings online. So there is a small window of opportunity right here and now that allows us all to do this training online and get certified online as well.
So to go back to your question, Keith, and maybe that's a multi-part question, but yeah, we're all going to be each other's guinea pigs for this particular process.
Okay, no, I'm not questioning that. I work in the IT area, so a lot of the stuff I do, a lot of it is remote. So I'm not too concerned about that. What I actually wanted to do was just go more to any thoughts. So I think probably it sounds more like we may play this out on a day-to-day basis, where, you know, like from a tools perspective, I'm thinking we just need to have our map, probably a notepad to take notes. The way you conduct the courses, there'll be a bit of theory that will be covered there. Then you get to some practical. So I think some of that may play out itself while with tuning those steps as you get to first day, second day type of thing. But the one thing I did have a question on that, just to hear if you had any thoughts on this, but something I thought of, I'm pretty much a classroom type training person. I like to be in person to do this. One of the things I think may be a limitation to me, I wouldn't negate the training, but if you've thought about this, one of the, like I look through your curriculum and even the standard curriculum, and one of the things is, you know, the hands-on adjustment part.
Yeah.
And that's the part that, you know, it's like, I could see someone doing a triangle pose and I could say, here, it looks good there. And then I go into the classroom to do this my first time. And then it's like, it'll be like a cow tipping exercise, right? Somebody's going to tip over. But it's pretty much, you know, like, have you thought about like, in addition to this, like invite the group, or at least your initial group, if we get the group, this class is going, to invite them to, like, when you have a formal back in person in X amount of months, hey, can you guys, you know, we have these, we know you took part in this. We'd like to invite you if you would like to participate for 1 week or 3 days or whatever when you have something on site.
Yeah,
I
think
part of it to build on, because I think that's a significant part of it, that you don't want to do that part or that portion incorrectly.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You were going to respond.
Well, I think it's an excellent idea, Keith. I like that. And, you know, once the coronavirus madness is over, which I pray it's sooner rather than later, we can You know, we can do something in Houston even and come and do like a workshop on hands-on assist kind of deal. And of course, we have events here at Blue Sky Retreat Center in Taos all the time. So there is definitely a possibility of doing here something here as well.
Yeah, we're in Austin where we live.
Yeah.
So that's a great point. And yes, we thought about the hands-on assist. That's, if there's a trickiest part, that's the trickiest part.
The trickiest part.
And what I will say about hands-on assist is we do a whole weekend of it, and typically in the trainings that we do in person. And even with all the repetition that we try to get, the truth is when people walk in to teach yoga the first time, they're like, everything leaves their head, you know, and you just have to start doing it, right? And then you'll say, hey, how is that? And you can like do that with people that you know first, right? Like, and say, like, generally, like, if people come to my class, if I don't know them, I don't touch them usually, like at first, right? Because I don't know their bodies, they don't know me. And then I feel more comfortable with people I know. And then when I get to know them and I know their practice, then I'll say, hey, how's that? You know, and then they're like, oh, that's good. Or you're knocking me over. And that never ends, you know?
Well, can I say,
yeah.
I have two things to say. The very first yoga teacher training that I've ever done, which was a year-long training. One, I never taught a yoga class. And B, we never learned any hands-on assist. So that was a year-long training without any of that. Now, that's one thing. The second thing is it seems as though, and maybe this is not a platform to talk about it or the time, but it seems to be the tendency in today's world with Me Too movement is to move completely away from hands-on assist. You know, so it's an interesting area that, you know, we can explore once we go into teacher training, and absolutely we will teach a teacher training, and we have tons of content on mat to mat from our real-time teacher trainings for you to look
about
hands-on assist just for that. There was something else that I wanted to say. What was it? It's gone now.
Well, I will add that there's whole schools of thought and teachers out there that say you never touch anybody and you don't need to. Now, we have not been that way. If you've been to Yoga One, you know that we give a lot of hands-on assist, and consent is a big issue, and it's something that people are working on navigating right now because, you know, the easiest, safest thing is to never touch anybody, because then that way there can be no mistaking, right? And we believe that like human touch is so important. So how do you give people effective choice in the midst of a public yoga class? And that's something we'll talk about, you know, because there's no one answer. A lot of different studios approach it differently. So we're not going to go too deep into it right here on this call. Keith, it's really good.
That's fine. That's fine. Without getting into the politics of it, I just actually wanted to just
no, but it's a great question and a great
part of it, because I've never actually been to any studio that says that they've actually has tips and tricks of how they handle it. Like one of the classes, especially with male instructors, what he had done, he actually gave playing cards to everyone, and you flip it if you decide that you want to do hands-on assist or not. So you had the choice of. Some people are cautious, some people know him, they're familiar with him, and as you said, it's a really get into that level. So not to hog the question, but this is the last question I do have, because it sounds like I think a lot of the logistics will play out itself in the first day or two, and we'll figure it out. But the last part with regards to the registration component of this for the Yoga Alliance, is that automatic after the sessions are completed?
No, I can talk about that. So Yoga Alliance, whether you decide to register with Yoga Alliance or not, is totally optional. We're creating the training, and then once you've done all the requirements of our training, which has already been approved, like our curriculum has already been approved by the Yoga Alliance in advance. Once you get our certificate in your hand that says you're an amazing yoga teacher and you graduated from our program, here's a certificate, then you get to take that certificate if you want, and take it to the Yoga Alliance, of course, digitally, right? Now we're digitally moving it there. And then you upload it there, and then they send it back to us and say, did this person graduate from your program and do all the things? And then we say yes or no, right? Because some people don't actually finish. And so And then once you do that, then you can be a registered, that's the R in RYT, registered yoga teacher with the Yoga Alliance. And we could talk about in the training whether that matters or not. Some people don't care about it. Some studios don't care if you have it. Some teachers don't care about it. And we want to get, we're doing it so you have a choice. You can say, I care about it. And we'll get, you know, we can even talk about pros and cons of doing that. And so, Keith, once you complete all of our 200 hours, you've done all your stuff.
Your homework.
We give you a certificate, and then you have the choice. Do I take this to the Yoga Alliance or not? But once you have it, then you're good to register and become a member.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Sure. Where are you from, Keith,
Atlanta,
by the way? No, he's not from Atlanta. Where are you from?
You mean originally? I'm actually from the Caribbean, from Trinidad.
I figured. I heard it.
Trinidad?
I heard a Caribbean accent. I just didn't know. Well, we like your accent. All right. So, other questions?
Aside from the virtual session that I guess we'll be leading, will we be required to actually do any in-person sessions if we're not able to get someone to teach?
So there's a way around that, and you can do it via video. So
Okay.
you can teach someone via video, including on Zoom, which you can record.
Okay.
So there's definitely a technological workaround. If you don't have someone in your house, you can call up a friend and say, hey, can I teach you a yoga class or this portion? And y'all can work with each other too, right? So y'all can get, so if it's like, okay, your work is to go before next weekend and teach this portion of, you know, this like 5 sun salutation. We're going to start easy, right? Like teach, it's actually not as easy as it sounds, but as you'll see over time, but, you know, teach 5 sun salutation A's, you know, to someone and then record it. And, you know, and we can do some of that ourselves, talk yourself through sun salutation A on a video and then upload it to us. So you go inhale, raise your arms up and you're talking, exhale, forward fold, inhale, halfway lift, exhale, step back, high to low plank, right? And you're talking yourself through it. And that's your practice because you are teaching and then you're getting in the rhythm of it in your body. So that we do that. We'll do, you teach one person.
You record your class and then you practice to your own class. So we
Okay.
have lots of different tools in our tool belt to teach, to elevate you as a yoga teacher. Now, remember, we used to own 7 yoga studios, right? So our intent was always to graduate really skillful yoga teachers. So
Sure.
if there is anything that we do really well, if I do say so myself, is getting, because we always been vested in it. You know, it was our product.
We needed teachers.
So that's why this is something that I say we do really, really well. Like get you to teach yoga really well, in addition to all the personal transformation and personal growth and manifest magic. And this time around, you get even business of yoga stuff.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, Sherry. Is it Sherry?
Sherry.
Sorry, Sherry.
That's-
It's so fascinating because a lot of people know they want to teach yoga, and then you know they do, and then a lot of people think they want to teach yoga, and they're like, actually, I just want to practice, you know. And then some people are like, oh, I'm just doing this for fun, and I don't ever want to teach yoga. And then they get the bug. They're like, oh my God, this is so fun! I can't wait to teach yoga. You know, it's like you have a, you know, like people sometimes have a complete change of heart in it, you know, like, oh, I just came to learn more about yoga and now suddenly, dang, I want to teach yoga, you know, and they end up becoming like really like super dedicated yoga teachers. So what I would say is you just really never know until you get in here and start doing it. But we're going to give you the tools.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
So I know at least here I have a 3.5-year-old, and
Uh-huh.
they're very busy. And because of this coronavirus craziness, obviously I can't like send her to a playground or to go to school or anything. So just in terms of I guess, like not wanting to distract other people. If she runs over and is like, I need something, I need water, I need a snack, um, do we just turn off our cameras at that point so that it's not distracting everybody else from what's going on?
It's, I don't know if you might not have seen it, but both of our kids already busted in here. One of them was,
And our niece.
and
I
our
mean, we
niece.
had a bunch of kids walk in as we were
already
leaving
had
the school.
3 kids walk in, and that's just our life, It wasn't even any different when we had physical trainings because our kids would have to be up in the studio all day. So what I would say is we're not going to be distracted by your kids because we're just not even, but other people might be, like if your kid's screaming in the background, mute button is really handy. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate the kids themselves don't come with a mute button, but but we're totally cool with it. I think it's really more important that you, as best you can, create an environment that you can learn in effectively. And if you have a kid that's pretty chill and like will sit there and play with the blocks while you're learning, then great. If you have a kid that needs tons and tons and tons of attention all day, every day, that's going to be challenging for you. And I don't want you to miss what you could be getting. So really, my encouragement would be like, figure out what will work for you. I don't care if you have a kid hanging on your shoulder. You can put the mute button on. It doesn't matter to me. I want you to get all that you deserve to get out of this, should you choose to do it. And so that's something for you to consider. What I think is what we liked about this training is that your cats and dogs could be there. We are going to take short breaks. We'll probably do like, other than the class, we'll probably do 50 minutes on and 10 minutes left, like a kind of traditional education model. And that could be the time that, if you could just get, hey, okay, now you get all my attention or whatever. Or your dog goes for a walk or whatever, right? So you want to try to minimize your own distractedness because we actually need all of your contribution because you make a big impact on the training. It's not just what we do, right? It's also what the group energy is. And each of you would be responsible for bringing some of that group energy. If the energy is that you're never in front of the computer and even when you are, you're distracted, that plays a certain way. So I think it's just an honest check-in. Can I really do it with my kid here? And for some people that will be a yes. And some people, who knows, right? And I don't know for you personally, but from our end, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you guys.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
All right. Well, I just want to remind.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Heath.
Again, just two last questions. This is probably more on the logistics of moving forward. One of it would be, are you looking at a critical mass for this class to happen, or would you can have certain amount registered and you continue, or is there a critical mass that must be there for you to continue with this schedule?
So I guess what you're asking is, do a certain amount of people need to sign up before we'll actually do the training?
Correct.
Yeah, so we already have that number. We're going to cap it at some point so that it'll be intimate. But we thought there'll be between 10 and 20 people probably.
Okay.
So and so we're
it's already happening. We already got the minimum number of people that.
Yeah, so we're doing it for sure. There's no question. We have enough to do it, and I think we'll be between 10 and 20. I think I don't know. I know that we're going to cap it at 20.
No, that's fine.
We don't know.
All right. Well, I mean, I think we probably would because there's only so much space on this screen I could even see before they turn into a little dot.
Right.
But I would. So on the low end, we're fine.
Okay. And on the registration process, that's all part of on the email, the original email you sent out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm happy to put it in the chat as well. So what I want to remind you guys, there is a early bird registration discount that ends on March 31st, and then the price goes up by $300 or something like that.
That's right.
So there is a pay in full option as well as the payment plan.
March 31st is Tuesday, I believe.
Oh, it's Tuesday, yeah. So I'm gonna drop the link right here. It's the same link that you got in the email. Well,
Okay.
it's so good to see you guys. I feel like all warm fuzzies on the inside seeing you guys.
Burning questions? Did we answer most of your questions, I hope? If you have other questions, it's not your last chance. You can email us. We have another session too, I think.
Next Friday, we have another Q&A.
Yeah. So if you haven't registered by then and you still have questions, you just cost yourself $300, but we can still answer your questions, right?
Well, in closing, I just want to say that Raja and I have been away from Yoga One for a couple of years now, and we miss our community. I mean, I miss our community. I'm sure he does too. We miss our community so much, and it's been so wonderful to see you guys and connect with you. I'm feeling some type of way, and it's a good type of way. So thank you so much for joining today. And if you have any other questions, feel free to text me or email me. My phone number is listed on that website as well.
All right, namaste, y'all.
Say bye.
I unmuted everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys. Be
Bye.
safe. Be
Thank you.
healthy, be
Thank you,
well.
guys.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.